Hey everybody, Jason Sensational here. Welcome to another masterclass. Today's lesson is on Kennen Ahri. This is one of the most popular decks on ladder, probably one of the strongest ones right now as well, and for that matter, probably the most complicated deck to actually play, pilot, and master. This is one deck that actually survived the patch, having basically 0 hits to it, which makes it in leading position to be the strongest deck right now in meta, both ladder and tournament play. I know this deck can be very complicated to learn, and I want to share a little bit of my expertise on the deck, just to give you guys a little bit more of a background on it. So, welcome to the masterclass. This is your instructor, Jay Sensational, and let's dive into it. So let's start with the deck list and go over some mulligans. So Kennen Ahri, while it is very staple in how it can be built, because most of the decks are allegiance decks, rather 95% of Kennen Ahri decks right now are the allegiance decks, which means they run Kinku Wayfinder and are usually splashing a finisher card like Absolver, Might, etc. But even within all of these different kind of combinations, the cards that you might run may look a little different, especially when you compare some of the Absolver / Might versions, like the Go Hard versions, etc. This version is on 2 Fae Blade Twirlers, 1 Sane and Thousand Tails, and 2 Godwillow Seedlings. And these are just like kind of splashy cards you can run. You can choose not to run. You know, Concussive Palm is a card that people are trying to like flaw out and things like that. There is a pretty big core to this deck with 3 recalls, 3 Twin Disciplines, the 3 droplets, of course 6 champions, 3 Navori Wayfinders, 3 Kinkus, and then some of the other cards can be played around in ratios and things like that. So even if your list doesn't look like this, or isn't card for card this list, it doesn't necessarily mean that this list is the best version, and it doesn't mean that you should necessarily change yours either. But what this video will cover is, because the game style of all Kennen Ahri allegiance decks are so similar, that no matter what your list is, it doesn't really end up mattering as long as you understand the fundamentals behind it, what you're trying to do, what you're looking for in the mulligan, and how does this deck really work. So this is a deck list that is rather flexible, even though it does run a lot of the very similar cards across most versions. It has the flex utility slots that you can swap out if you just want to test something new. But this is what the deck list looks like, and let's talk a little bit more about how the deck functions. So let's talk about the engine. So what I mean by the engine is just what keeps the deck going. This is what's going to help you drive your game plan forward, find the right cards and tools that you need to control the game, and have the ways to close out the game as well. The 2-card combo that I think a lot of people are very comfortable and familiar with is Ahri plus Dancing Droplet. This is your main engine, especially Dancing Droplet as a card is probably the most important card within your deck. This is a card that gives you continuous card draw. You can probably get 3 to 4 cards off of the same droplet if you play it right. And we have a lot of cards to synergize with droplet as well. Namely Ahri, but we do have cards like Recall and Navori Conspirator, even Godwillow Seedling if you are playing it, as well as other recall cards like Homecoming. Now what's really cool about this deck is we have multiple ways of finding droplet, either drawing Dancing Droplet, or B, getting it out of Kinku Wayfinder. And of course, depending on the list you're running, depending on how many different 1-drops you're playing, this might be a guaranteed pull off of Kinku Wayfinder, which again is super powerful. So how this deck functions is it continues recycling this droplet. If you need to just get more card draw, you'll find those Concussive Palms, those Homecomings for the mid game, and then you'll slowly but surely also level up Ahri with it. So while you're continuously cycling through your deck, you're also leveling up Ahri at the same time. And what this does is it gives you to the splashy combo cards you need, like the Absolver, the Might, the Rally, whatever it may be, while having a flipped Ahri at the end of it. So it progresses very well towards this win condition, and the core of the deck is built around this recall package that especially focuses around Dancing Droplet. So the first mulligan we have here, we're playing against Yoron Arms. So this is Fizz Lulu, the Yoron Arms go wide deck, the main swarm thing. So we know this is an aggro slanting deck, and we want to be able to fight for board. We mull away everything but the Mornt in hopes of finding mainly Kennen. Ahri is also fine card. But just when we go back, we see our opening hand is Twin Disciplines, Homecoming, and Absolver. I think you'll find that often or not, Absolver is not a very good card. It's going to be your main way to win the game with Ahri or just get some overwhelmed cheese. So this is definitely not a card you ever want to keep Homecoming has its uses, but again, it's very late, it doesn't fight for tempo very quickly, and it's not a card you can realistically play early. Twin Disciplines is probably the last card I would potentially consider. I have a 1-drop I could twin on the Morn to value trade in. It's like a 2/2, but that just doesn't sound worth it. And if they have like Lulu Choppers, that is all just kind of out the window. So I think none of these cards really matter besides the 1-drop. And I keep the 1-drop not because it progresses my game plan by like trying to level Ahri, trying to level Kennen, but because it blocks. And I think you'll have to realize this a lot, is that your 1-drops into an aggro matchup, often or not, you just have to block them off. For the second mulligan, we have a game against Zillion Echo. This is a little bit of an interesting one. They are definitely an aggro slanting deck, so again, we still want to find ways of trying to chump block and trade down our early units, but they don't apply a lot of pressure until turns 4 to 5. So a little bit of an important thing to consider. We can definitely take a little bit of early damage early on, as long as we have the tools to kind of stop their swings on turns 4 and 5. So looking at this hand, it looks okay. Again, Twin Disciplines, again, it's not really a card you really want to keep unless you're looking to get some early cheese value trade out. But I think in this position, it's just not really worth. I mulligan away the Godwillow Seedling. It's a little bit slow for what I want to do. I'd rather play a 2-drop such as Navori Conspirator or Ahri, which I do find luckily enough. But I think something really cute is I keep this Notify on the far left. This is a card that will never be dead in this matchup. It hits pretty much everything they want to play. It hits Mystic Shot, it hits Chrono Break, and it hits their Crystal. This card will probably win you games if you have it, and it'll probably lose you games if you don't. So in this specific matchup, I think the power level of Notify is just insane. Conspirator into drop, or drop into Conspirator is a pretty common 1-2 play, so that's really good. And then Concussive Palm to stun their Echo, also very, very nice. So overall, very happy with this hand. But enough of the aggro matchups, let's talk about a little bit of a slower one. Right now we are queued into Shyvana Pantheon. This is definitely more of a mid-range kind of deck. They don't really have very aggressive starts until around turns 4-5 is when they really get the pressure down. And so we can mull a little bit slower here and go for a little bit more of a value game plan. We have Ahri, excellent. We have Mourned. It's okay as a 1-drop. I'd rather have Droplet, but having Mourned as a 1-drop still lets us level up Ahri quickly, which in this matchup is good because we do want to put them on a clock as fast as we can. The ultimate decision to mull away Fate Blade Twirler is the potential to play Ahri on turn 2. But it's interesting because you can curve Mourned into Fate Blade Twirler here. Ultimately, I just ditch it to look for something better, like a Droplet, and just make my curve a little bit better. But I am able to keep Kinku Wayfinder here, even though it is a 4-drop, because I A, have Ahri, so I can probably bounce whatever 1-drops come out of it, and B, this is a slower matchup where I'm not going to feel pressure to play this on turn 4. So I kick everything besides, or rather I keep everything besides Fate Blade Twirler, hoping to find a Droplet instead. If I don't, oh well, it stinks a little bit, but overall this hand looks pretty good. And I find Kennen, which does provide me that extra layer of flexibility. It lets me bank mana on turn 2 if I want to, and then I have another play later on. In the previous section, I talked a lot about recalling Dancing Droplet as its main focus or the main engine of the deck, but let's also consider talking about some of the other recall targets in this deck. There are a few. You don't want to be recalling every unit within your deck. Some are definitely not the correct choices, but these 3 cards, at least within this particular deck list, are the most popular 3, and that is Dancing Droplet, Kennen, and Kinku Wayfinder. We already talked heavily about Dancing Droplet, but again, Dancing Droplet is our value engine in our deck. We need this as our main source of card draw. We do have Sign-In as a little bit extra card draw at the top end, depending on if you're running it or not, but in your early turns, Dancing Droplet is going to provide a huge resource to you, as well as a deck, in order to find more cards draw, and a lot more consistency. When you are playing a very, very slow matchup, you can continuously cycle this, or if your opponent just has very little interaction at all, this is a great card to recall for value sort of game plan. Next up, we have Kennen. Now, in the past, I think Kennen was a super popular mainstream sort of recall target, and that wasn't only because Droplet wasn't even included in the list, but Kennen just had that different sort of power level with the God Willow treeling or sapling that just allowed it to pop off a lot more. Nowadays, we split our attention to Droplet and Kennen, and there's only in other situations where recalling Kennen is actually the better choice. And namely, that's for the removal option of having the marks. When we play Kennen, we get a mark, we recall Kennen, play it again, we get a second mark, and now we have 0 mana, deal 2 damage to any unit we want. This is very powerful into aggro. I think this is your main tool of keeping control of the board early on, simply because none of our units trade particularly well. This also provides us, against mid-range matchups, the chance to threaten us to recall Kennen and then stun our opponent's attack. So by preemptively marking one of our opponent's units and then forcing a recall onto stack on our opponent's attack turns, we can often or not get Kennen to have a free stun, basically a free concussive palm on our opponent's attack turn, which can also provide a very big threat. When we're running into a lot of pressure, Kennen is a pretty good option to recall, especially when we have multiple Kennens back down onto the board, and now it just becomes a matter of fact that we just start clearing off the opponent's board turn after turn. Finally, the last card I want to touch up upon is Kinku Wayfinder. And again, this is definitely much more prominent in the Shrima / Might versions, or at least the ones that run more 1-drops, because our deck, this particular list, runs 9 1-drops. And what this means is we actually have the ability to play out Kinku Wayfinder 2, 3, 4 times a game and still be able to gain value out of it. This is probably one of our best tempo swing cards, being able to generate a lot of value for its mana cost as well as go really wide on board. If you are playing the Go Hard version that only has Kennen and Dancing Droplet, then this is potentially a less of a consideration for its recalls. But I think what you'll find is that once you have the Ahri flip, playing Kinku Wayfinder gets you 2 elusives onto the board that allows you to pressure down your opponent with a leveled Ahri. Once you have Kennen flipped, Kinku Wayfinder allowing you to find that second, third copy of Kennen onto board just to provide a significant amount of pressure to our opponent's units can be very powerful. And you'll see throughout some of these examples and some of the games I'll have later on that all 3 of these come into relevance of knowing when to recall them and if we should recall them and in what position should we recall them. Lastly, but what I think is probably the most important fundamental to this deck is knowing when to fight for recalls. This meta has become relatively hostile, I would say, towards Kennen Ahri, or at least people are starting to get smart into how they want to play for it. Now they'll have like 2 pokey sticks and a group shot to try to fight for your recall. So now you have to start playing around their ability to disrupt what is just like a recall on stack. And knowing when to do it so that you win the stack and you get the final recall is very important. And there are 3 main tools within our decks to ensure that we can get our recalls out. The 3 of them are what I will label as recalls, interactions, and buffs. And they go in that preceding order in the higher chance of saving unit. So the first one is we have recalls. We can play a recall in stack, and then our opponent mystic shots, and then we can play a second recall in stack. The benefit of this is recall is a very cheap tool. It only costs 1 mana, whereas our opponent is often spending 2, 3 to fight for it. Now, I would probably rank this a little bit higher if it wasn't so sometimes a little bit of a resource commitment, because we want to be recalling a lot of our units for the most times of our game plan. Using 2 recalls on the stack to only recall once is often or not sometimes not really what you want to be doing, even if it is the best scenario. Homecoming definitely a little bit less so, because now Homecoming costs 4 mana, and now we're going to the territory of being less efficient than our opponent, which is an easy way to lose some of these fights. The next one is our interaction, namely Notify and Deny. This is pretty much just going 1-for-1 with our opponent, that you go, ha, I have Recall, and then they have Pokestick, but then I have Notify. You usually want to use these as sort of the last end of the stack, or if you can, but there's also another one that's very specific to the matchup. A good example of this is into, for example, Zillion Echo, where Notify is so valuable in denying their Hextech crystals or their Chrono Breaks that maybe you don't want to use this Notify on a Mystic Shot to fight for stack. Definitely knowing the matchup, knowing when Notify and Deny are going to get better value is a very important distinction to make. if you know that your opponent's best spell that you can no-fi is a Pokey Stick, you're just slamming that no-fi down because that's the best thing you're going to no-fi the entire game. But the reason why no-fi and deny are going to be slightly better than the recalls is they basically go 1-for-1 again with our opponent's cards, but they have a little bit less utility depending on the matchup. Again, this is very highly dependent on who you're playing against and what kind of deck you're playing against. And then finally, we have the ultimate trump card of them all, and this is Twin Disciplines. I think this should surprise nobody. Twin Disciplines being a 2 mana for 3 health just fights for anything super mana efficiently. Because a lot of our opponents are running pings in order to try to counteract some of our removal, namely aimed at cards like Dancing Droplet or Elusives on stack for Ahri, Twin Disciplines can often not just completely shut down our opponent's game plans. So we're recalling onto a Pokey Stick, but then our opponent Pokey Sticks again, and then now once we twin, we just know we're going to win that stack. A lot of decks just don't have the ability to deal 2 or even more to our opponent, so they'd have to like spend multiple pings, and often or not they can't beat it for the mana cost that we are committing, and it's often not worth it for them. So Twin Disciplines is probably one of our ultimate trump cards when we're fighting for recalls, because once we slam this card defensively, we just say, all right, you have to give me that recall now, and often or not your opponents just can't do anything about it. The trade-off here is that Twin on Ahri on offensive turns, when Ahri is flipped, is a huge advantage, and needing to use Twin Disciplines defensively is a little bit of a trade-off there. But knowing when to use it is very important, because this will most likely guarantee protect one of your recalls. I think the last note that I will mention here is, and you'll see it in some of the clips that I'm about to show you guys, is that you don't always have to fight for your recalls. If your opponent just like Pokey Sticks your Kennen, sometimes you just let it through. You have 3 copies of Kennen, you have more ways of finding it, or even like a droplet. If you have another droplet in hand, you can let this one through. If we know we lose, or we have the high chance of losing to fight for the stack, we don't go for it. We have to knowingly commit our resources to moments where we know it will go through, and to have the high success chance of it going through. Or we have to put ourselves in a position where our opponent uses so many resources that ultimately it wasn't really worth it for the opponent either. But it's definitely one of the most fundamental aspects of this deck, hardest thing to understand and master, but I think one thing that will really help improve your game plans. So let's dive into some parts where you'll see this in effect. Welcome to the first part of your favorite game show, Should I Save It or Not, featuring Kennen Ahri versus Fizz TF. I think we'll start off with something easy, and I think the situations will kind of progress from there. But while you're considering these, a few important things to notice, or rather to note, are A, the cards that I have in my hand, the tools that I can use to protect them, B, my hand size, C, my Ahri level up progress, and D, what happens if I don't recall this. So right now, our opponent has put a Mystic Shot onto stack at our Dancing Droplet. So the question is, do I save it or do I not? Sorry that you can't see my entire hand. There's one card cut off, and that is the Spark from Kennen, but everything else you can see. So right now I have 2 options if I want to save my droplet. I can homecoming my droplet into, like, say, the Shelly. It resets their game plan a little bit nicely. It gives me a little bit of Ahri progress, and I get a card draw. Or B, I can Twin Discipline it and give it 3 health. So do I save it or not? I'll give you a quick second just to think it out before I get to the answer. Alright, time's up. So the outcome here is I do not save it. The reason is I have pretty much a full hand. I don't really need the value out of this card draw. If I use Homecoming, I tap myself out of a protection spell, so another Mystic Shot would pretty much make me very sad in this position. Ahri's not dying, so there's no real need to force this through. And if I want to use Twin defensively there, well, I'm just limiting my output potential on an Ahri swing when she's leveled up. Looking at the current board state, I have elusive blockers in hand, so I don't think my health is very relevant. Ahri's going to flip by the time my next attack, or at least I think it's very easy to, even if I don't get this one recall, and I have a lot of cards in hand that I don't really need to. I think one thing you'll notice in this deck is that in some of the late game positions, you'll often or not have a lot of hand size issues, and knowing when to save your units and when to use your resources can be quite impactful in these positions. While this is a slightly different moment of do I save it or not because we don't actually have any recalls in hand, we are playing against an aggro matchup, and I want you to carefully consider this. Do I save my units by not blocking and saving their health total, or should I block? I guess I already spoiled the answer because I insta-block this. I have another Mourned in hand, and so if I lose this Mourned, it's not that big of a deal. B, my hand is all notifies and denies, so if they start pointing Pokesticks, I have answers for them. I think in this matchup, board control and health total are going to be very, very important. If I'm limiting myself by trading these away, or rather by not trading these away, then the board is wider for Yordle arms. If I didn't have this deny, I'd be in a lot of trouble. And just preserving my health total, I even get a value trade here off of the 2-1, which is really good. And so this is definitely a very smart trade. Even though it puts our Ahri into Pokestick range, we do have answers for that. We can draw recalls and buffs later on, and protect our health total, get a value trade is very, very important. So this is another example where we're in an aggro matchup and we have to block down the board. So the question is, do I save Droplet or not? I know this is a completely safe save. I can recall the Droplet on any of these units. If he miss 6 shots, I have the answer with the Notify. So do I use this here or do I save it? So again, I kind of spoiled it by declaring the blocks, but I'll just talk through my reasoning. I want to trade off the 2-1 now so that he can't bring it back with the Chrono Shift later. I have a second Droplet in hand, so I'm not too worried if this first one dies. I just need to make sure that the second one does not die. B, Notify is just so valuable in this matchup. I think that its value should never be used to notify a Mystic Shot unless it's game winning or you're completely forced into doing it. And so I think Notify can often be saved for a very, very specific moment. I'd rather save my resource now. And I mentioned I already want to trade off, right? Yeah, so you can't bring it back. Perfect. Now, I also don't want to declare first because he also has tools like Scrying Sands that could lower the health of my, or the attack of my Droplet, and then I wouldn't be able to trade, and then I can declare the recall as a counteractive measure instead. So in this case, I just be happy if I trade off, make sure I protect the second Droplet, and save this Notify for a game-winning moment. Alright, moving to the next question. I am in a probably what I would assume to be a rather disadvantaged board state against a Teemo Ziggs burn deck. They have quite big stats on board. I have quite small stats on board. I don't have much going on with my hand. What do I do and what do I save? So I'll give you a quick moment to think through what I should do in this position and how am I going to swing this game back. I think again, the main decisions to be made here is, what am I saving? Do I save anything? And what does my next turn look like based off of how this board needs to stay alive through this turn? Also, just a note, we have 2 twins, 2 absolvers, and 1 deny, as well as this tree seedling. So what I ultimately end up doing here is I decide to trade down my board and get the value trades where I can. He does get 2 poison darts, so that anything at 1 health is realistically dead. But here's where I think is a pretty big moment. I decide to buff up the Wayfinder and decide to save it. I sack Droplet, even though if I recall Droplet, you know, I get a card draw off of it. But what's really key here is this interaction of God Willow and the Kinku Lookout, or sorry, it is the Kinku Lookout. I'm able to play it, and I suddenly regenerate my board, and I get another Kinku Wayfinder out of it. So I can then play this again when I want to. I have Double Twin to save me from whatever this is, the double poison darts, if I so choose to. And I'm just suddenly able to replenish my board state, whereas if I save Droplet and simply just recalled a card and drew a card, I would not be in the same position. So in this position, it's important to look out for what you actually want in this position, and in this specific hand, saving Cannon was useless, saving Droplet was useless, and the only thing that mattered here was saving the Kinku Lookout. Sorry, the Kinku Lookout. Yes, it is the Kinku Lookout. I also did block all the way down, so I saved myself the most health total. I used the Absolver to trade up and keep this alive through the trade, so I could protect it and God Willow it. Okay, so last round, what do I save in this position? Once again, we have pretty much everything on board that I could possibly ever want to save, but we only have one homecoming, so the main question is, what do we save and why? Alright, time's up. Let's roll the clip and let's talk through it. So I actually homecoming the Lookout again. You'll notice this line a lot within this deck. Again, I could recall the Droplet and draw a card, but because I know that this Ahri is flipping, I do need to close out the game. I have this Absolver. If I'm able to go wide one more time with this Lookout, I can get a board state that is threatening and can potentially push lethal to end the game. Saving Droplet gives me one draw, but again, what am I looking for? I'm just going to be looking for drawing Kinku Wayfinder exactly, and if I draw another unit, I'm just still 1 unit less wide than if I had played Kinku Wayfinder. Recalling Kennen doesn't really do much here. I can't really kill like this Echo. This Echo needs like 3 more marks to be put into before it even dies. So saving Echo here isn't really consideration. Mourn's no way I would recall that ever. And it's between Droplet and the Wayfinder. I think a lot of people will get baited into recalling Droplet. In some cases, if your Kinku Wayfinder just doesn't draw or doesn't tutor out any more cards, of course you don't want to save this. But I think a lot of people can get tunnel visioned into saving Droplet every time, whereas they need to consider this line a lot more. So the first late game we're going to take a look at here is with Ahri. This usually entails a leveled Ahri with a unit full of boards, whether that be elusives, cannons, Kinku Wayfinders, whatever you name it. Ideally, it's with elusive so that opponent has a lot harder time interacting with it. But even if I don't have much elusives, you'll notice here that even though I'm not killing him, and even though I only have one other elusive besides Ahri, what I'm actually doing here is forcing my opponent to pretty much completely block down the board, simply because he can't actually, let me have like 2 straight attacks with Ahri into his face. That is a little bit risky, and even though I don't have Absolver, I'm not killing him, but what I am doing is just completely taking over control of the board. My Ahri as a 9/4 is going to kill everything on the board, and then I still have cannon marks to finish off the rest of whatever's remaining. And what this allows me to do is just, keep playing down my cards again, get more marks, get more card draw, whatever it is, and I'm just in a winning position, and I just wait till my next attack turn. What Ahri doesn't need to win you on the spot, even though it can. But what Ahri is really good at is just maintaining value and board presence. And so this is just a classic example of what Ahri looks like at the very late game. Now this is a slightly better example where I have 3 elusives on board. I have a cannon, and I'm just pushing a lot of damage. Even if my opponent takes one of these blocks, I still deal 9 damage to my opponent and draw 2 cards. A lot of leveled Ahri's power level doesn't actually come from the fact that she kills your opponent straight on. It's the fact that you can recall all of your units, gain value either through the Droplet draws, the cannon marks, or the just sheer tempo advantage that you kind of gain from it. And I also dealt 9 damage that turn. My opponent's going to be behind on board for the rest of the game. And value because I can simply just pick up my droplets, play them back down for free, and just start pinging down his opponent's board. And in this case, Ahri is just such a power tool in pretty much everything, you name it, value, tempo, stats, it's all there, and it all comes together with a leveled Ahri and a board. This is actually a really cool play where I actually picked up an Ahri Charm. I can bounce my Kinku Wayfinder before the attack and actually get a wider board so that my Absolver hits a few more times. But what's really cool about the Absolver combo, or might per se, just giving Ahri Overwhelm, is that your opponent can no longer prevent Ahri from striking. It's a classic Overwhelm into like a glimpse block kind of target where the attack always goes through. Ahri, in fact, pushes even more damage, and we have the Absolver to buff Ahri's attack by 4 and give her Overwhelm. And so just being able to plow through your opponent's board, just percent lethal no matter what kind of blockers they have or don't have, is just a very, very powerful threat. So I think a lot of people don't actually realize is the power level of Kennen, even though he's a little bit harder to get multiple ones down on the board. But even with hands that don't actually have Ahri, we still have other ways to win the game, provided that it's a little bit more of a unit-focused matchup. In this case, we're playing against Zordon Arms, and they are completely board-centric, with the ability of leveled Kennen to just generate 2 to 3 marks on an attack. We can just completely gain advantage of the board as itself, and once we attack, we get more marks. So if they block, they give us more marks to kill their board, but if they don't block, then we just get in free chip damage while still getting few marks in hand. And so there's actually going to be a lot of end games where you maybe don't have Ahri, but what you do have is the ability to get multiple cannons onto board with the likes of Kinku Wayfinder, and then that allows you to completely take over tempo of the game as well. Very similar to how Ahri works if she's not just ending the game on the spot. And here's a little bit later in the same game where you see that my opponent just tanked 13 damage in order to preserve his board and give me less marks, but I still have 4 marks in my hand, and that allows me to kill off 2 units on his board, and now I've pushed more damage than he's dealt to me this whole game, and I've removed 2 units from his side of the board. He's pretty much out of cards, and I have more tempo than him, and this is what it can be to just swing tempo with Kennen. With multiple cannons rather on an open attack. So that wraps up the deep dive masterclass presented to you by none other than Jay Sensation on Kennen Ahri. I'm going to leave you guys with some games that I thought showcase this deck very, very well, even though people think it's bad into aggro or bad into this. I think there are many different ways to play this deck out and some easy mistakes that can be avoided. So I'm going to leave you guys with some really cool games. Please do give them a watch if you do want to just, you know, track through the different things I've told you guys to do about this deck and integrate them into your own game. So be sure to listen to the reasons why I make certain plays, this and that, and just notice any differences that you might make, and just really keep that in mind, or feel free to ask me about some of my decisions that I make, because I could be right, I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'd like to have at least a chance to correct myself if given. So please do leave in the comments if there's anything else I miss, any general questions you might have, things like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this third masterclass presented to you by me, and let me know what you guys thought. Thank you guys for watching, and catch the games. Peace out, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Just want to say thanks for educational vids. You got it, man. Appreciate you stopping by the stream. Good to see you around. I see Ahri, I keep Ahri. I need to find Droplet. Anything else is probably just icing on the cake. Hey Rebel Doc, what's up, man? Thanks so much as well. I think notifying is draw. Yeah. But like in case you had like Chrono Break, I needed to be a little bit more flexible with my mana there. Like I could like deny his Chrono Break, but I don't know if that would have ended out okay. Yeah, just need to find Droplet here. Anything else is just extra. Okay. It's okay. We have the Notify to save Ahri. We can play Ahri next turn. It's pretty nice. Nice tapped out of like get excited mana. Okay. So we have turn 4 ready. We'll probably go into turn 4 with Notify. Going to damage my Ahri and put into Mystic Shot range? Not really. This is kind of an annoying opener from him. It's very fast. And I have no play. Okay, so if you didn't attack with Ballistic Bot, I'm feeling less sad about my circumstance. Still feeling very behind. Droplet's a good pickup. The question is, do I play Kinku or do I play Droplet? I can recall a Droplet twice this turn. I can also like Godwill a Droplet. I have to be scared of red card this turn, so I probably can't play Kinku. Still wanting to hold up TF. This TF red card is not good here. Okay.
The forest surrounds us. Quietly now.
I might get screwed here by like double Mystic. I could have considered that at least. Oh, lucky. Very lucky.
Too slow.
That was pretty dangerous from my part. But looks like we're rewarded for our slightly risky play. Ricardo. Oh, always Giga fuck you, Kinko. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. So, I mean, we just know he doesn't have like another Mystic shot, right? He could have like a Get Excited, but no Mystic is a little bit of a weight off my shoulder. He just plays Shelly. Okay. It's kind of an interesting one. I can God Willow right now. I can like set up for an open attack. It's not like really good either. I can't homecoming this turn without twin up. I could and go for a read that he doesn't have Mystic Shot because he would have used it last time. Stack his big brain, yeah. Kennen's 3 out of 5 on Droplet. I think I'm just gonna do this. I want Kennen leveled when I play Kinky Wayfinder. And I can do it this way. Poro Cannon, Stress Defense, ooh. Interesting. Pseudo. You don't have an attack, buddy. It's kind of funny that the Shelly buff went before the suit up buff. What? Oh man, this guy's big brain alright. I don't know what the heck this play was. But this guy's on something for sure. Alright, buddy, you want to attack my twin disciplines? I didn't think so, buddy. So this will level up my Kennen. The issue is I have no board space. And he could just TF me. If I play this, I can't play this, and that's a big fat issue. I do want to attack with leveled Kennen here. I could save Kennen and then like play out this. That ordering is just kind of miserable. It's the only problem with like this God Willow. It's so good at leveling Kennen, but it's so bad for like board space management. Oh wait, what am I saying? I can play it. Oh no, that's not what I was saying. I mean, we can just like... Do we think he's just not playing TF? That might be a little bit too much copium. But worst case scenario, we'll just twin it. Alright. Oh, so lucky. Wow. Wow. We got the droplet out. Alright, that was really lucky. So even if you red cards now, it's pretty bad. Perfect. I want to start killing his board. Killing this is going to be difficult. I don't really particularly care about killing that. I can kill his ballistic bot as well, but he can't give that elusive. I should just be scared of mind mode, which I presume to be the way he wins the game. Right now I'm a 3, 6, 9 card hand. I expect to need some hand space. One time Wayfinder nerf was actually buff. I mean, if Wayfinder was still like the way it was, I think it'd still be better, just because I'd rather just pull 2 Kennens. Or like I'll just level off of Kennen, right? I wouldn't have to go through this convoluted way of actually doing things. Like, I'm jumping through more hoops to level Kennen because Kinku Wayfinder can't pull only Kennens now. Like, if I get, like, level Kennen, like, if I could only pull Kennen, then, like, Kennen would just level on himself. faster as well. Like, I'll just like God Willow Kennen, and then I don't have to play around with like this Droplet as much. But Droplet is still like a really good card too, so it's definitely like an interesting sort of decision. I have double twin, so I pretty much beat anything that he could have. So he can't like take some like weirdly risky blocks. But at this point, I also have enough elusives to kind of counteract him. And he is also on like a 0-card hand. Why though? You're trying to mind meld me next turn? I have enough elusives for that, buddy. Alright, bet. I see no issue with this attack. Definitely from NY. Is that what they say in New York?
The others seem to wish it so.
I have not lived in New York for longer than I've lived anywhere outside of New York. So if I picked it up, I don't know if it was from here. I mean, we have Deny for Mind Meld now. He doesn't even have elusives on board. Scratch that, he does have some elusives on board. Okay. I'm not particularly scared. I do have this Homecoming that I want to play. What do I want to do? I do want a Homecoming this turn, probably. Hey, what do I think about the Noxus version with Might plus Shumpo plus one more? Like, you can run Might, I think that's like pretty like good. It's basically the same deck. I don't know why you run Shumpo though, but like playing Might's like perfectly fine. It's basically the same thing, honestly. And like, it doesn't even have like a level condition to it. It costs one less to grant Overwhelm. I'm actually confused why people are playing Absolver, not Might. Because Might just seems straight up better. But that's a separate story, I suppose. Like, I don't get why people just aren't playing Might. I don't get it. It doesn't like really make sense to me, which is kind of funny. But yeah, Happy New Year, man. Thanks for stopping by the stream tonight. Glad you could make it. Absolver linked 2 threats. Yeah, that's fair. And that is at least a consideration to be made.
Don't want any trouble. You call that sneaky?
I'm just gonna do this. Put this back to hand. I don't really care. He can't kill this, and I have Deny for other burn later. I'm just gonna level Ahri and then start pressuring the game. Losing all my elusives here sucks a tad, but I guess it has to be done. Ooh, this trade not going through is annoying. I could twin this defensively just to keep it around. But I also just get more units from the Wayfinder. That's perfectly fine. I just Wayfinder next turn. And Wayfinder should find me plenty of cards to do stuff with. At 2 mana, what's he gonna do? Mystic Shot me? I don't really care. Arya's gonna flip on herself. I need to find Absolver. I don't need Absolver. But with elusives, I shouldn't ever lose this game. There's no real point. We'll just pass. If he plays a Poro, we'll just play this. Okay. Homecoming? Homecoming's not bad.
First step's the hardest.
Okay. If he plays that, I'll just stun you real quick. I don't want to recall these, though. My hand space is a fat issue. I don't want to recall this because I just don't want to draw a card. I have too many cards in my hand. Well, I don't know what to do here. I just have too many cards.
The tempest gathers.
It's still gathering. I'm just gonna get too many cards in hand. This is actually like a issue. I've always had like hand size issues with this deck. It's so weird. But I would like to try to kill one of you guys.
A whisper in the woods.
Oh god, my timer. That's fine. I burst past it. Oh, do I replay Droplet? Probably not. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. We'll just soft pass. Whatever. Yep. I'm gonna play you but not recall you. I just can't afford the hand space. It's so funny.
Remember the plan.
I just have no hand space. Like, I could drag here for an extra mark, but I'm already 3, 6, 7. I guess I'd cap on marks. I'm already capping on marks. I can't like I can like dump like a twin, I guess. This is so bizarre.
This way. Get the drop on him.
Alright, I'll just go for lethal. Or at least try to. I'll dump the marks, I'll like twin, and then just force him to block down his entire board. Because he doesn't have... He might have one more spell here. But he has like basically full block. Okay. Sure. I could double twin? I can actually double twin here. And just wipes his entire board. The only punish is if he has a Mystic Shot, which we know because he only has one card in hand. And then we just classically wipe his entire board. Seems good. We're gonna burn some cards, but like we didn't need these anymore ever. Well, like as long as we keep these 4 cards, we're like completely fine. The issue is we only get 1 Kennon on board from now on, but that's fine. Oh, we have Lightning Rush lethal. Nice. Yeah, we just Lightning Rush him next turn and we win. Yep. He could stop it. Well, I can Lightning Rush my R and he can't stop it. Because then he would need... Well, I have just everything, right? Do I have everything? 6, 9, yep. Unless there's healing in his deck, which he shouldn't have. Yo, Chunk of Wood, what's up, man? Thanks so much for follow. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a good time. How you doing, man? Happy New Year's Eve. Or New Year's, wherever you're from. Okay, buddy. I know you don't got it. And he could have it. It's like Get Excited plus Mystic in his hand. And he could have it, but not through this Deny Notify. So strange, he just had no cards in his hand this whole game, which I don't remember TF Fizz ever having that issue. At least in this stage of the game. Okay, buddy. Come on. Come on. Thanks. Ugh, I don't feel good about that one. Is this Tree? There's no way Tempo's playing Tree, right? No, this is just Burn. It has to be just burn. Tempo wouldn't play something like a tree. Deny? Deny is good for Decies. We'll probably just like recall block that, and then play Ahri and then attack again. That's also a really good card if he develops. So we can play this to trade there. We could recall block, but that's the same thing. Next turn we can play droplet Ahri. This aggro might get to us. It's definitely very fast. But we do have deny for decimates, and I'm just gonna hope that gets us there. I might not even be able to recall this droplet next turn because I need the tempo. That would have been a good card.
I go where the winds blow. For now.
I just play Ziggs. I'm not gonna attack. I can attack with droplet. But I'm not gonna recall it because I need the blocker. This is a really insane card if he lets me develop. Does not. Trying to like recall this is super risky. I can just like palm this turn actually.
Catch me if you can.
I don't need this Ahri to survive. And if he wants to pokestick my Ahri, I think that's fine. I think droplet's just a bigger issue here. This open attack from him's a little bit weird. Like, you just develop as your deck. What's he holding on to? Is he scared of palm in particular? Nice. I didn't want you anyway. No fight's a pretty okay draw. How do we maintain board? This one's gonna be tough.
Don't let the fluffy tails fool you.
Next thing I know, I'm up to my britches in purple berries.
If he darts my droplet, I have to pick it up. And should we play it? That'd be really good actually. I think he should go face with it if he's smart enough. Or pass. Passing's not bad, but I would just play it and go face. Not smart.
Here's our chance.
Because we have the deny, our health total can go a little bit lower. We can value trade if we want with the Absolver as well. I would like to... I can Homecoming this turn, and I will, I think. I just can't sacrifice everything on my board.
Want to see these moves up close?
Miss one damage. I miss one damage? Oh, I didn't attack, okay. I could get like wrecked by like a Fervor. Because he could like Pokestick Fervor my dude, but that's fine. Whoa. Either way, he needs another ping. If he had a ping, he would have used it first. Nice Blade Twirler. Blade Twirler's pretty good here. If he has a ping and he saved it after Fervor, he's like big braining me. I lose my Blade Twirler though, it's a little bit unfortunate. But now that I picked up Wayfinder, it's fine. Like, he can dart this now. Kennen's not leveled yet, but ideally Kennen's leveled. We've done well. Being at 14 health is really big breathing point. Now we can't even miss here.
Extra hands never hurt.
Oh, perfect! Perfect, perfect, perfect.
And wouldn't you know it, I picked the wrong mushrooms.
That's kind of awkward. I want to God Will of Seedling here, but I don't have the mana. So I'm not going to use God Will of Seedling. Hopefully he develops next turn. Those are the perfect draws. So far the game's going nice. If I didn't hit this, I would just YOLO the Godless in here. Might have even been correct to actually still do that. I could like Absolver here. I think we're fine because if he develops into next turn, then I just Godwill Seedling here.
If you can fight,
If he blocks, I'll just Absolver as well. I don't expect him to block. If he passes, I'll actually pass back. Okay. No, there's no point. I can do this because if he develops, I just Godwill Seedling this and then get another Kennen out, ideally. If I don't get Kennen out, it's a little bit unfortunate, and I'd rather just have dealt 2. But I think we're fine here. And if he like attacks, we can take some good trades with Absolver if we need to. 2 is a little bit unfortunate.
think you're fast enough.
Ooh, I can't trade here though. I can't afford to trade here.
I'll take care of this.
Oh, Kennen dies? Oops. It's fine, it's fine.
Lesson's over.
And I believe we still have one more Kennen in our deck. Face is the place. And then we'll probably just deny Decimate this turn. And then we'll play out this one next turn. And then hopefully just clear his board from there. We are starting to get low though. And I just never tap out a deny for the rest of the game. Unless he taps under like 5 or 3, depending on which. Okay, I don't even have board space to play this turn, so it's irrelevant.
This requires my largest official hat.
Yep.
They've never seen a contraption like this before.
What kind of mileage do you get on that thing anyway? Call this one the
If we had Blades Twirl around, I could potentially try to push lethal, but I think I played this game pretty well up to this point. And we can still push some degenerate damage.
Eyes open. Watch your branches.
So nutty. We might even have lethal, because this is a lot of damage. But then we just lose access to deny. But we don't lose to like, we don't lose too much.
Remember the objectives.
We really don't lose too much here.
For the glory of Noxus.
The forest strikes.
I think we have lethal here. I think we blocked the wrong lecturing or had the mark already. Oh, maybe we did. I make a lot of like, I'm gonna be making a lot of mistakes with this deck. That's just like not really avoidable. Oh baby, have to block. Oh baby.
I'm not finished.
10. I do have lethal if I just go in. And with these many marks, Fervor does nothing. So I'm pretty safe to go in, I think. Exacxies? Oh, he could just kill these then, huh? I think it's still fine to go for. Cause like even if he has like Pokestick, I'm still winning. I clear out his entire board and I just kill him next turn. Either way, it'll still probably the right play to go for it. Cause like but I would tap under Decimate or Deny. It's kind of interesting because he had Pokestick, he could then like Decimate me and then maybe never needs to cast Decimate again. It's definitely interesting because I already cleared his board and maybe I didn't need to go for it. I think going for it is a little bit risky. I just didn't realize how close it was. If it was like -2 or something, I would have like definitely went for it, but I just wasn't counting in it. Could have cost me if you had a Pokestick there. Yo, Virtue, what's up, man? Thanks so much for following. Appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. But that's my opinion and take on the card. I really don't want to play this for negative tempo. on Feyblade Twirler. Like, Feyblade Twirler is just like solid card. Ooh, this hand's garbage. Okay, Ahri. Maybe we still play for tempo.
Nature does not mourn. I will.
But I don't think we attack here, because like I can't recall. This is like the old Katarina issue, right? You just play it on turn 3, it recalls itself, and it's negative tempo. Like, I'm gonna block here, if he lets me. I do have a deny for Yordle Arms, which is going to be very key. But these two Nopifies are almost dead in this matchup with outside like Pokestick. I guess there is like the Get Exciteds as well. Okay. I will block with the second one. Ooh. So I'm gonna play another unit to block. Question is, so if I attack with Ahri, or if I play R, he might be inclined to like drag this way, which I'd be really happy about. If he wants to only attack with these, I'll just trade like that, and that's super fine as well. Nice, super happy with that outcome. The issue is, I don't want to like no-fight Pokestick. What the heck? Bruh. Ugh, that is not what I wanted to see at all. Droplet. What if I Droplet, guys? Why can't this card just be Droplet? And I still can't attack with you because I need to keep Nopify out. Do I just attack with Ahri or take the pass? I'll take the pass. Droplet! Okay, that's really good. Excellent top deck. Ooh. Okay, bye Ahri. I said Droplet wasn't the problem. It's not the problem, but it's like the core of this deck. Like, Droplet's not a problem at all. It's just like a really good card that this deck sort of builds itself around. Pass? Please? Darn. What? There's no way. Excuse me? Okay, I didn't think so, buddy. Unless? I'll take the swap back if you like. I would love for you to swap it back. Please, take it back. Please. I don't know why your first instinct was to go after the Morn, but I think you should listen to your instincts. He's actually considering something. Like, I don't know what other consideration there is. Like, I guess like if it's getting recalled, you still want to recall the Ahri. Yeah, I don't know. A little bit strange. So this level's Kennen, basically, once I replay them. I do hit a Kennen, that's not bad. I can't recall Kennen, that's an issue. 2, 3, 4, 5. A little unlucky there. He knows it too? Yeah, if you're a good player, you should know to kill Droplet. Especially if it's like a completely safe kill on it. Like, he made a smart play there that I think a lot of people often mistake. That's a really good top deck.
Ahri, what do you fear? A dull companion.
Ooh. But I have to recall the Wayfinder. Because I need to kill the Flame Choppers, but he just plays another one. Maybe this wasn't the best play. Wow, this is so interesting. Because, like, I need to recall this Wayfinder if I want to win, but if I don't kill this, I'm in trouble as well. It's very interesting. Alright, 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5. And I need to play both of these and attack if I want to level Kennen. I'm like a home coming off of just like winning this game. It's a little frustrating that I just can't draw it.
Care that the hunt does not consume you, Ahri. The others seem to wish it so.
They've never seen a contraption.
I wonder if he's brave enough to like block my Ahri here.
Warn you.
Like, there should be no world where he blocks Kennen with, like, Lulu. Holy crap, dude. This guy's cracked! This guy's actually loaded. Did I tell him that I didn't have twin? No, he has no reason to know I don't have twin. This guy's actually cracked. What the heck? Like, if your Lulu dies here, you just, like, cry. Really? How? How can you make a play like this? You have second Lulu? If you have second Lulu? Even if you have second Lulu, you can get punished by like a palm or something. Like, he's forced to develop next turn, then Ari's like suddenly not like a... What? And now you're just sacking your bomber twins? Oh man, this guy's getting rewarded. I have 5 cards in my deck that deal with this. Good on him, man.
Too slow.
So I wish I recalled this then. But now I just like give him too much information based on my hand.
I possess the secrets of kings.
Like now he just knows too much. Like I still would have made the plays I made. I don't think I can afford to not attack with Ahri there because I need a second mark. But his block, whether it's correct or not, ended up working out for him. So good on him for that. If I can recall this, I can still get multiple Kennens out and still be okay. It's definitely gonna be tough here if I don't find like a... Oh, okay, so because he had group shot, that makes sense. So he had group shot there, he could kill like Kennen if I had the twin. Okay. It's kind of tough. I'm not like super familiar with their list, so them running group shot, get excited, harpoon, or like bust a shot, it's all just like an anomaly. Like they just have like an arrangement of like removal. The only thing I'm certain that they run is get excited plus pokey. Anything else is just a little bit of a surprise. Losing Kennen there when I could have leveled it later is a little bit frustrating, but I can't notify like a group shot in this matchup ever though. Going through, get excited, yup, pokey, yup, group shot, maybe some less of one buster. Yeah, something that I've pretty sure what I expected. Ooh, that's annoying. The issue is you can still play chompers. I don't really care about your attack unless you play chompers, and you'd have to like hard play it. Yeesh. Because I can't play this, because if I hit Kennen, I'm gonna cry.
Nature does not mourn.
This does level Kennen.
Some encouraging words.
Lulu's gonna die.
Let's use all the colors.
Okay. Really? Okay. Yeah. Just running 3 of these early on was like really detrimental to me, just because these just really didn't do much for me at all. Like this card's just like, this card's okay, it's just not good in like this matchup though. There's a reason why I think you should drag this because I just value block one of these. Yeah. Scared of attack with Mayor, sure. I'm not gonna block your Mayor, buddy. Okay. Save myself 2 damage. I still can't play this. I could, but I need to protect Droplet. I'm gonna burn 2, but my mana shouldn't matter at this point. He has 1 telescope card. No, he played the telescope card. Oh, path. That's so annoying. Godwill is Seedling? Ooh, I could Godwill is Seedling the ooh, wow. Wow. What a choice. This changes everything, sort of, but not really. I could Godwill Seedling like the Kinku and get out another Kennen. Using Deny hurts for sure. I don't mind just putting on here just for tempo, because it should give me third Kennen and third Droplet, if I remember correctly. This is going to kill a Droplet, but I can just kill two things myself. But then this card's going to be dead, is the issue. I'm just going to have a dead card in my hand. I can use on the Droplet, and then recall the Droplet, and just start cycling cards. But I can't replay it this turn. I need to play for tempo, because now they discard my Deny, he could easily have, like, your own arms. So this is going to kill one of my Droplets, but that's, like, the reality of the situation. And then I get to kill at least 2 units on his side of things. And then I still have recall. The issue is I no longer have any units in my deck for Kinko, unless I like Lightning Rush this Kennen somehow. I'd have to like pick up Kennen, Lightning Rush Kennen, and then replay this, which is actually possible because I'm gonna have to recall something next turn. But that might be the Droplet. It's kind of a tough one. So this also like Godwill is just like a really good card, right? It's super flexible depending on your board state and the matchup. It's just so flexible in what it can do. Against like a get excited, I have like recall. I don't expect more than one group shot, so this recall should be completely safe if he's trying to fight on stack. This is smart, because if I want to recall it, I can only have one Kennen on board. But like this is the best enough fight I'm ever getting from this point on. So this kills this, that's completely fine. I get to kill 2 things, that's completely fine. On his Jordan Arms turn, I can just pick up my Kennen and then Lightning Rush Kennen, and then suddenly have Kinko Wayfinders active again, and then I have 2 Kennens back on board. I think we're actually stabilized here. What an interesting situation, but I think we're actually just winning from this point on. I'll kill you, and then I'll just kill you. And now I think realistically his hand is Yordle Arms and X. I don't know what this last card could be. I think it's just like a random card in his deck. But this card's most likely Yordle Arms. Lucky that he got Banos that hard to discard my Deny. But his Yordle Arms isn't even good. Shouldn't you kill one at a time and play around group shot? I don't expect more than one group shot. If you had another group shot, like fair play. But it's just not something I expect to play around. I'll play this as a blocker.
Let's go.
Anything else?
Okay, so last card is most likely Yordle Arms. And then top deck. If he doesn't have Yordle Arms, I just really don't care then. If I had like an open deck list and I knew how many group shots he was running, I'd make the play differently, maybe. But like, I don't think these lists run more than one group shot and he's already played one. But like, if I had perfect information, I could play differently, right? But I was just expecting that he didn't have it. Like, I was even surprised about the first one, so... The second one, ooh. He just doesn't have Yordle Arms, or is he scared of Deny? Yeah, he's just scared of Deny. Okay. We'll just pick up Kennen, and then we'll Lightning Rush something. So... Oh, we need a triple block, huh? It's a little unfortunate then. Here's a question. Do we pick up the Kennen or do we pick up the Droplet? It's so interesting. I'm gonna twin to keep up board parity.
It will be done.
Now which one do I pick up? This is important. If I have to Lightning Rush this doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna pick up Droplet. If he has Group Shot, fair enough. It's not really useful for me. Palm's a good draw. Ooh, how did he get this card? He just main decks it? Wow. I wish we could like present lethal and then like force him to block something, but overall I'm happy that we did this. If he like hits like this thing that summons sand soldiers, we're just screwed on an open attack. But with this palm we shouldn't die. He can't like golden arms us if he top decks it because we do have the deny, and we get this free 2/3. So I think we're winning still. It's very tough. Depends on what he gets here. Very, very highly depends. I think there's only one card that I'm afraid of from this, and it's just the one that summons sand soldiers. Anything else just gets palmed, and that's fine.
Come for the max and see him get wrecked.
Fizz. Okay.
This is Tempest.
I wish I just had lethal. Like, if I had, like, I don't know, double twin or something, I would just, like, kill him on the spot. But he can't block here. It doesn't make sense for him to block. Okay. We don't even need to sack Kennen next turn, ideally. Not playable. Okay. That's a unit. I wonder what card it was that was just unplayable. We need to save it to stun that. We're not dying if we play this. His board's 4 wide, 5 wide. He deals 2 at most.
Don't let the fluffy tails.
The buff one probably. It could be. It's not. That's really annoying. That's absurdly annoying. Can we get away with, no. How do we do this? So we palm here, he pulls this. I have to give up my Kennen. So I palm here. He still pulls this. I go to 1, and going to 1 is fine. What's more damage? I didn't count fast enough to see which one was actually worse for me. Maybe it actually didn't matter. Why would you pull Droplet? Really? Okay. He's like an out then. Like, he can't get excited me.
Protect each other.
Oh! Let's go! We're so good at this game, man.
Wind and thunder.
Easy, easy clap!
Half off.
New Year top decks? Yeah, that was pretty good. Man, I really thought we were losing this game, but the God Willow on the Kinku Wayfinder just came in really clutch. So the only way we throw this game is by throwing the game. Let's make sure we don't throw the game. Someone just tried to Roji me? I don't know what that means.
Sorry.
But Ari and Kennen were having it. What does Roji me even mean? Is that a saying? Is that a new thing?